Hello, everybody. This is the K-Men 1971, back with another comic book stack. Starting off as usual from the bottom, from the dollar bins, and working my way up. So, kicking it off this week, Blade Runner #1. Did anyone check out that Blade Runner 2 trailer from a couple of weeks ago, or rather teaser? I'm interested. So, Blade Runner #1. I have a very soft, nostalgic spot for any of these old school Marvel adaptations from classic movies of my childhood, and this definitely goes under that category. So, #1. #2, Punisher from its first volume. #6, with that snazzy Mike Mignola cover. Red Sonja, which is either a fine minus VG plus condition, #1 for $1. Couldn't leave that there. And the pick of the litter, I guess, from the dollar bins this week, The Amazing Spider-Man #1 Marvel Milestone Edition, the closest that I will ever get to an Amazing Spider-Man #1, or owning an Amazing Spider-Man #1 rather. So believe it or not, these can go anywhere between $10, $15, $20 online. So if you can pick this up for $1, I would do it. Identity Disc #1. These next group of books are from a Midtown Comics order that I recently put in. So, as a Deadpool fan, I thought this would be a cool story to read, considering the characters involved and considering that it has Deadpool in it. And I was very, very wrong. Identity Disc is basically the usual suspects without the wit and suspense and everything that made it good. So it's hard to figure out how someone could make a bad story, especially with this cast comprising of Deadpool, Sabretooth, the Juggernaut, Bullseye, Sandman, the Vulture, but yet somehow they did it. So #1, #2. So for only hardcore Deadpool completists would I guess suggest this series. #3, #4, and 5. Not expensive by any means whatsoever, but I still feel I paid too much. On the brighter side, Suicide Squad #9. I own the standard issue version of this issue. I have this entire run of New Suicide Squad, but I ended up missing out on this one at my local comic book shop. I guess it obviously sold out just because, for the fact of having the incredible Jim Lee draw this just utterly kick-ass Joker cover. Awesome. The only gripe I have with it is the Harley Quinn card with all the cards with the villains on them that he's flipping up in the air. The Harley Quinn card is obstructed by the DC logo. But other than that, fantastic Joker cover by the great Jim Lee. Also from the Joker 75th anniversary variant promotion that they were doing for that month. Harley Quinn #17. I want to say this was during another book that I own the standard edition of. I want to say this was during her Power Girl team up, which was fantastic. But as a Batman fan and a Harley fan, how often do you get to see Batman, the Joker, and Harley all on the same cover? And this pink or magenta background, I don't know, I can just see this cover garnering some attention down the road. Also from Midtown, Guardians Team Up #10. I'm a big Deadpool fan. I'm a huge Guardians of the Galaxy fan, so I had to pick this one up. Kind of like the Deadpool Daredevil annual that I showed not too long ago. That was the first meeting between Deadpool and Daredevil, but they kind of make reference within the story that they've met before. I want to say it's the same deal with this issue. I don't believe that Deadpool and Rocket Raccoon have ever teamed up before this, but they kind of make reference within the issue that they have a history and that they've met before. So unfortunately, kind of just a silly one-off issue, but I'm a fan of both franchises, so I wanted to pick it up, and it was like cover price. And the last issue from the Midtown Hall, Marvel Premiere #61, early Star-Lord appearance. and it is the last issue of Marvel Premiere, so a twofer. And check out that Dudley Do-Right chin on Star-Lord. Holy Spartacus. From my local comic book shop, my first issue of Spawn that I've picked up since Spawn number 100, Spawn number 225. With all these YouTube videos that I watch, I've become a big fan of these Spawn homage covers. So Spawn homaging the classic Watchmen number 1 cover, and being from Massachusetts, obviously I really appreciated the historical the historical I don't know what the word I'm going for. I'm having a brain fart here. But just having Obama wins election 2012, that was really cool, man. I'm going to miss the big O. Not to get too political. Batman Lobo, number 1. This was, I mean, during the 90s, DC fandom were clamoring for this to happen. And I want to say this came out in the early Argonauts, and by the time they finally did it, I don't think really anyone cared. I mean, this flew under my radar too. And I'm a huge fan of Simon Bisley's art, but this was not one of his better works, unfortunately. But as a huge Batman fan and Lobo fan, it was cover price, so I figured why not pick it up. And staying on the Batman train, Batman Legends of the Dark Knight number 142. I want to say that it was Mercenot that gave the community the heads up about this story arc, and I have been a Batman fan for a long time, but I don't really recall reading any stories where the Joker and Ra's al Ghul team up. So just based on that fact, I had to pick up this story arc, and I want to say it was only they're not expensive at all. I only was charged like maybe $1 or $2 at my local comic book shop to pick these up. So 142, 143, it's a pretty good story. 144, and 145 with a sick Joker cover with him rising up from the Lazarus pit. Awesome. And while I was thumbing through the Batman Legends of the Dark Knight section, I came across this. Again, not expensive by any means. Batman Legends of the Dark Knight number 214. This is the last issue of the series, and it has Batman versus Deadshot. I mean, I don't know. The way the DC Cinematic Universe is playing out, I want to say that Batman, Deadshot, Will Smith, Ben Affleck rivalry will be something to look out for going down the road. Just pure speculation on my part, but as a Batman fan, I like last issues, and I like Deadshot, I like the Suicide Squad, so I can't see why not a reason not to pick this up. Plus, that cool blood red cover adds a little bit of appeal to me. The Amazing Spider-Man, number 441. This is the last issue of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1. And as I've said before, I'm trying to collect all the last issues of the long-running series that I grew up reading. All the Volume 1s of Amazing Spider-Man, Batman, JLA, X-Men, etc., etc. So with this issue now, I now have the last issues of Amazing Spider-Man, Daredevil, the Hulk, the Uncanny X-Men, Fantastic Four, the Avengers, Batman, Detective Comics, Brave and Bold, The Flash. I know I'm forgetting one in there somewhere, but yeah, I guess that's it. So I'm still on the lookout for the last issue of Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Thor, and Iron Man, and that would be pretty cool to have all the last issues of all those series that I grew up reading. And it's just, it's amazing that books could actually get to this number now. Especially a Marvel book, no less. Avenging Spider-Man, number 10. I just wanted this for the simple fact that I had number 9, I have Captain Marvel, number 1, so this is kind of like to fill it out to have those first 3 appearances of Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel. So, pretty good. Picked that up for like maybe $3, $4. Number 12. Avenging Spider-Man number 12, excuse me. Deadpool Spider-Man team up. A tentative team up, I guess. This was $10 on the wall book, believe it or not. But they had it marked down half price for $5, so I thought that was okay to pick it up for $5. I noticed a book that I just showed off last week, that Cable and Deadpool book, which featured sticky situations, the team up between Spider-Man and Deadpool, and I wasn't really entirely sure if that was their first meeting. I'm almost positive, but not entirely positive. And then I ended up discovering this long thread on CBSI of people debating what was the first meeting or team up between Spider-Man and Deadpool. And this went on for, there was like 30 something posts on this conversation. So I guess the consensus was some people thought it was X-Force Volume 1, Number 4, which does contain a Spider-Man and Deadpool appearance, but they never team up. They definitely don't team up to take on the Juggernaut, which a lot of people thought in the book, in the thread, which obviously they didn't read the book. And then the other popular pick was Deadpool number 11 from his first ongoing series, which, as anyone that read that issue knows, that it's an homage parody of, I forget the exact issue, but it's a classic Silver Age issue of Amazing Spider-Man. And the whole premise of the issue is that Deadpool takes the place of Peter Parker slash Spider-Man throughout the story. And they even reprint the original Silver Age story in the back of the issue for the backup story to show the compare and contrast. So I guess we all came to the conclusion that Cable and Deadpool was the first real interaction between Spider-Man and Deadpool. They meet in classic Marvel fashion. They fight the first time, and eventually they ended up becoming, reluctant allies, let's say. So I just thought it was kind of funny reading through those posts, because I would never debate anybody about a movie I hadn't seen or politics that I don't pay attention to, or an album that I haven't listened to. But apparently there's a large group of fandom that just go by whatever wiki says or whatever another poster is saying. So the best way to learn about comic books is just like with any other medium of the written word, I guess. Open the book and read it. And that's a good way of knowing for sure. Okay, I'm sorry. Old man rant over. Avenging Spider-Man number 13. This was to complete that story arc, and it was only a two-parter, and this was also just in the long boxes for like $3. So, pretty cool. Staying on the Deadpool vibe, I picked up this next set of books. These next 4 books were either 20 or $25, minus 20% at my local comic book shop. Deadpool Agent Weapon of X. It says number 1, but it's actually Deadpool Volume 1, number 57. I don't know what was going on with Marvel at this time. It was pretty close to Deadpool being canceled within the next year or so. So I think they were just probably doing anything, any kind of ploy to get someone to pick it up. Ooh, number 1. So, but pretty good storyline. And excellent Barry Windsor Smith covers. So Deadpool number 60. Oh, I'm sorry. A little out of order. So let's go with Deadpool number 58 and stay chronological. Like I said, excellent Barry Windsor Smith cover. Number 59. And, of course, as you just saw, number 60. So, pretty good storyline. And I love any kind of issues that I can pick up from Deadpool Volume 1. Deadpool Volume 1, Harley Quinn Volume 1. Those are the 2 series that I've really been focusing on for the beginning of 2017. I also picked this up. Wolverine, Deadpool the Decoy. I want to say this was a digital comic released. I have no idea when. I never read it. But I ended up, this was just, again, once sitting in a long box. So I picked it up. And when doing a little research on it, I guess this is one of the lower printed Deadpool comics out there that isn't a variant incentive. Alright, let's get back to my Bronze Age roots. So I basically buy my comic books from 4 local comic book shops, as well as eBay and Midtown Comics. And 2 of the comic book shops that I frequent are major franchises throughout the New England area. And another one is basically just a regular guy that's been running a comic book shop for like well over 10 years. He survived the 90s, so he obviously knows what he's doing. And that's where I go for my regular pull list. and he has a great selection of back issues. And then there's this other comic book shop, the fourth comic book shop that I go to the least, mainly because it's in a city that I don't really like to frequent very often, and it's only open for maybe like 2 hours a week. It's open on Saturdays from like 10 to 12, and that's it. That's the whole window that you have to go there and shop. And he doesn't have any new stuff whatsoever. All of his stuff is back issues, ranging from the 1960s to maybe the very earliest of the 90s, is about as new as you're going to get there. And I want to say I made a comment to Rag178 in one of my last videos, because he made a comment about the ROM #1 that I picked up. Now, I picked that up for $5. I'm not sure what it goes for now, but I know it goes for more than $5. And this store, the prices are just like all over the place. I mean, some of the stuff is priced great, and other things are just like they're overpriced, like from the 1980s. That ROM #1, I picked that up for $5, but yet he'll have a Punisher War Journal #2 for like $35, or Punisher from his first #1 from his first miniseries for like $45-50. And I mean, that's, those are prices, I guess, when the Punisher was at his peak during the 1980s. And some of his X-Men issues are a little bit overpriced, Spider-Man. So you could tell there's been some books he definitely hasn't updated, but I have had like my best stealth buys there ever. So I can't complain. I don't even debate with the guy when it comes to some of his outdated prices, but I've picked up some great stuff from there. So starting off, Man-Thing #1 from his second volume, only $3, a little production miscut on the top, but I'm going to take that. Marvel feature #11. I'm always good for a Hulk, an Incredible Hulk and Thing throwdown, especially when it's drawn by the great Jim Starlin. This is only a VG copy. I'm still on the lookout for #12, and but it was only $3, so I couldn't turn it away. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, #1 from 1977. Nice crisp copy. A little color fading on the top, but once again, $3. Star Trek #1. A lot of #1s in this haul for some reason, but also, like I said earlier, well, in the beginning of the video, I have a huge nostalgic spot for these Marvel adaptations of classic movies from my childhood, and this adapts Star Trek the motion picture from the 1970s. So I'm still on the lookout for #2 and 3. Very cheap though, very affordable, very underappreciated in my opinion, but I'll take them at a cheap price. Moving on. This was $10, but just beautiful. And I don't really own any Jim Steranko work, and the interiors are by Jim Steranko. And this isn't the series from the 1960s, obviously. Nick Fury and his Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1. This was one of those Marvel reprint series from the 1970s. I think this only went on for maybe like about a year, but I picked it up. And the last book from that store, which I was really stoked to pick up. Stoked? How dated is that, huh? Conan, the Barbarian, king-size Conan, #1 from 1973. This, out of all Barry Windsor Smith Conan covers, which they're all pretty much masterpieces, but this right here is my all-time favorite Barry Windsor Smith Conan issue. The contents within this issue are also reprints from his run. I want to say it reprints Conan #2 in either 9 or 10. I'm not sure. I haven't flipped through it in a while. But this cover is incredible. Like I said, this is from 1973. Look at the detail in this work. He was so far ahead of his time. It's crazy, crazy. But once again, I picked this up for $10. Huge Conan fan, and I couldn't leave this one behind. Alright, getting on to some of the better stuff. Marvel Team Up #65, featuring the first American appearance of Captain Bloody Britain. Good read. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I used to dig Excalibur back in the day in the 80s. So it seems like, I don't know, for some reason, this book is always missing. I mean, I can never find it. It took me a while to get this one, probably like 2 years. I mean, I came across some ratted copies, but this is probably VF, and it cost me either between $10 and $12, so no complaints there, man. also, as I stated earlier, I'm a huge fan of any covers that feature the Joker, Harley Quinn, and Batman together. And this is obviously a twofer for me because I've been trying to collect Harley Quinn Volume 1. So Harley Quinn, number 25, which unfortunately features one of the ugliest renditions of the Joker I've ever seen. No, I mean, I can't draw a lick, but that is pretty rough. Harley Quinn number 2 from the first series. And any Harley Quinn or Gotham City Sirens that you see in like my upcoming hauls, I end up getting an Amazon gift card. So believe it or not, these books are from Amazon. I usually tend to avoid Amazon because, I don't know, it just seems like the sellers are a lot better on eBay as opposed to Amazon, and the prices are certainly better. But for Harley Quinn and Gotham City Siren issues, I'll tell you right now, not that bad out there, people. So hit them up before it gets a little bit too crazy if you can. So Harley Quinn number 2. And what else are you supposed to do with a $100 gift card from work? Buy some skinny jeans, grow a beard, and work on my One Direction dance moves? Heck no, I'm going to buy some comics, man. So, last book to end it off, Batman Adventures, number 1, Mad Love, first print. Very, very happy. The lone eBay purchase that I have in this haul this week. And it was about $60 or $65. It's very fine condition. Very fine plus, I would say. I would say that this seller, another example of eBay sellers just being better than most Amazon sellers, he kind of undergraded this. He had this as a VF minus. And my Harley Quinn, which was the one that I bought prior, is I would consider that closer to a VF minus than this. This is a solid VF. The only issue I see is like maybe a little bit of fading in that bottom corner, but very, very, very happy to have this. And with this issue, my Harley Quinn Trinity is complete. So for Harley Quinn collectors, I would go for number 12, obviously, the mother of all Harley Quinn issues. And then I would go with her second appearance in the Batman Adventures special, number 1. I would also go for Harley Quinn, the Batman Harley Quinn special, which was her first appearance in DC, main DC continuity. There's also, actually, let's take that one back. Let's go in kind of chronological order. The latest hot book alert of the last couple of weeks. Everyone is all over this. Gotham City Sirens, number 1. Of course, the J.G. Jones variant is the one to get, but this is a great book to have right now, man. I just bought this because I was a fan before, but now this is another one of those books where you're like, oh, wow, look at that. I was a fan, and if I ever did sell this book, I'd be selling it for a hell of a lot more than what I paid for it. And lastly, of course, Suicide Squad number 1, which they kind of transitioned Harley away from her cartoon appearance. And I would consider this a major key, for a major modern key in the making. This book has depreciated in value since the movie. I would hop on it now, to be honest with you. And yeah, so those were like the top 5 Harley books that I would go after if you are going to start to go after Harley comics right now. Yeah, I still have a long way to go. I mean, I am nowhere close to being where I want to be as far as Harley or even Deadpool in my personal collection. But these first 5 are great books to start off your collection with. And I like to start from the top and kind of work my way down if possible. So that's all I have for this week, people. I will see you all again next week for another comic book haul. I have another key that I put a bid on eBay, and hopefully I can hook up with it. It's not Harley related, but I should have some Gotham City Siren issues next week, maybe a couple more Harley Volume 1 issues, some more Deadpool, a lot of the usual suspects. I mean, I'm huge fans of Batman, Conan, X-Men, Harley Quinn, Deadpool, so you buy what you like, man. So that's all I have for this week. Thank you all for watching, and thank you for commenting. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for coming here once again and geeking out with me. So, see you all next week. Hey, hopefully we can see a competitive NFL playoff game tonight. Huh? Maybe? Who knows? All right, take care. See ya.